Hello everybody and welcome to the next spoiler roundup here for all but one Guardian card. One Guardian card hasn't been officially spoiled by the time that this video is being recorded. By the time that this video releases, it may already be out there, but I got a YouTube schedule that I gotta hit and I got a recording schedule that I gotta work within, so it might come out in the next spoiler roundup. So if there's a card missing, you could be like, hey, where's that card? It'll be coming, and I'll be talking about it in the future. But today our big set piece is Daniela Reyes and the cards that are spoiled in this article, as well as a few spoiled from content creators over the last week. So, Daniela worked hard to make a name for herself as a mechanic. She'd only just paid off her new garage when Arkham was devastated by the cataclysmic flood, sending her business quite literally underwater. That sucks. That, you know what, I know it's fictional, but I'm like, that sucks. Rather than mope, she rolled up her sleeves like always and got right back to work. Now she works an extra shift tuning up engines at the new meatpacking factories, but she started to hear talk about strange things going on in the waterfront district. Locals gone missing, corpses drained of blood, and rumors of a shadowy figure that stalks the alleys at nights. Interesting. That seems to be related to the Children of Blood campaign, so maybe the campaigns are linked. Daniela knows better than to miss these strange happenings as mere circumstance. Whatever it is, she intends to be ready. With her new card, 3252, she's a warden and a worker, so a new trait there. As a reaction, after an enemy attacks and investigator your location, fight that enemy using either a basic fight action or a fight ability on a card. I love reminder text. I've always been a big fan of reminder text, and I'm really happy with the use of it here. I think that especially in like core and investigator deck environments, it's really nice to have those clarifications. Elder Sign effect +1, deal 1 damage to enemy location. Soaks for 9 and 5. And she's a Guardian survivor, if I remember correctly. So this is very, very similar to the Edge of the Earth Daniela. Edge of the Earth Daniela was after an enemy attacks an investigator your location. You get to either exhaust, like automatically you evade that enemy, or you get to deal that enemy 1 damage. This actually has like a higher threshold, for the potential damage output, but you lose the evasion. And also, yeah, it's an investigator, not just you. So like they can attack poor little Joe Diamond, and then Daniela can be like from the top rope with an elbow drop, right? Daniela's going to need a ton of horror soak. I'm not seeing in the Guardian stuff, and hopefully it exists in Survivor. I mean, like, she has Resilient, right? She has Resilience here. Like, that's not nothing in the core set. Then what is there in Survivor? Oh, I mean, Survivor has Alexi, right? Alexi is really good horror soak. So I think that there's pieces for soaking horror. I'm guessing that reaction doesn't fly if you cancel the attack. That's a great question. I'm gonna wager no. It's gonna like work how her similar one is. They sacrifice like one reminder text for another. But I think that she does have weaknesses, right? I think that Dice Gods is 100% right. I think that Alexi does a good job, but you need to be very aware of her horror soak. She did lose a point in her brain, and looks like she got a point in her book to kind of balance her out a bit and make her a bit less hyper-focused she was in the last one for her stat line, because her stat line was cracked. And having this makes her a little bit more core-settable, I think. But yeah, I think that there is counterplay, but you do need to be aware of it. I do like the Daniela art, though. I think that's nice art. Back in October, we revealed the new core set for Arkham Horror the card game, which heralds the beginning of an era we're referring to as Chapter 2. With a new core set comes a new set of 5 core investigators, and one of those 5s is Daniela Reyes. Core set 1! Returning to the scene as the new Core Guardians investigator, Daniela remains a tough-as-nails mechanic who can take a beating and dish it back in spades. The original version of Daniela was all about retaliating against enemies that attacked her, and this new seasoned version expands on that playstyle even more. Now, after any investigator at Daniela's location's attacks, she can punish them with a mean swing. While Daniela can only do this once per round, she can use a fight ability in any fight ability in her arsenal to do it, which works wonderfully with her new and improved Wrench. With her wrench in hand, okay, let's read this. Daniela's wrench. She tied an axe to a wrench. It's a axe or a rex. 2 cost, takes up the hand slot, item tool, weapon melee, Daniela Reyes deck only. As the lightning bolt exhausts Daniela's wrench, choose an enemy at your location. That enemy engages you and makes an immediate attack. Action fight, you get +2 fists to this attack. If this enemy attacked you this round, this attack deals +1 damage. So this is very similar to her first wrench, right? Also, if anyone is watching is wondering, this is Arkham build. And you should use it. 2 cost, takes up a hand slot. Less icons. Exhaust, choose an enemy location, the enemy attacks you. That enemy engages you and makes immediate attack. Okay, that's pretty good. And then fight, uses only when its ability has attacked you. So you can now just use it to fight. That's really good. Rex Shepard, that's really funny. I think this is a really nice... I think, like, already this wrench was a very powerful card. I think this version is just, like, beautifully improved. Great card. Alright, so with her wrench in hand, Daniela can freely engage an enemy and take a hit from it, and then immediately retaliate with an attack of her own, and you can do that all without even using an action. Lesson learned... We knew this was here. I'm acting surprised. But we saw this from the picture of the back of the art for a while. Fast, play after an enemy attacks you, discover when clear your location, 1 cost event, a level 0 lesson learned. So this is kind of like the evidence from the set, right? I mean, yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It's easier to trigger than evidence for sure, especially in Daniela. Being able to evade massive enemies was really good. Losing that is going to hurt on low player counts. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that is going to be a notable weakness for her. Hey, Johnito, how's it going? Naturally, the playstyle built around counterattacks. Daniela's going to want plenty of cards to help her take as many hits as possible. Fortunately, her pre-built deck comes prepared for exactly that. For starters, the Bodyguard ally continues the theme of counterattacks by being able to soak a hit for not only Danielle, but also any other investigator location, and he'll dish out a point of damage if he is defeated. Yeah, this is the new Core Guardian. Still not really feeling like Bodyguard is a thing, you know? I mean, I would have loved him to be a 2/2, but I think that this is a big signpost for where they want it to be. Yeah, with Logan in the same box, we're gonna get to Logan if you don't know who he is. I think Daniela doesn't necessarily need Logan. I think she's more likely to play Alexi because I don't think you need 6 Fist, especially when you have the weapons, right? But yeah, I just don't know. I'm not too sure. Pair that with Daniela's innate ability and the fight ability on a wrench, and the unsuspecting enemy could wind up taking 3 damage in retaliation or even 4 damage if you boosted the counterattack with Vicious Blow, which we're going to talk about later. We know what Vicious Blow does, though. Even without the Bodyguard, Daniela can equip a Resilience to increase her own durability, and with the event Lesson Learned, she can turn an enemy attack into the source of clues. Speaking of clues, scene of the crime, another great source potentially grabbing you 2 at once if there's an enemy nearby. So now you have a decent grasp of Daniela's defenses, but what about her offensive? Well, we've already covered her wrench and Vicious Blow. That's only scratching the surface of what she can do. Use right tool for the job to find yourself a tool or weapon asset, which could be Daniela's wrench or something more traditional, such as an M1911 or a machete. The machete. 3 cost, takes up the hand slot as an action fight. You get +1 fist with this attack. If the attacked enemy is the only enemy engaged with you, you may exhaust machete to deal +1 damage for this attack. We know what machete does, but I'll pull it up on the screen. The classic. So this has changed. It's nerfed. It's been nerfed. So this one is you get +1 fist for this attack. If the attacked enemy is the only enemy engaged with you, this attack deals +1 damage. So now it only deals the +1 damage once because you have to exhaust it. But you can still fight with it, which I think is following the trend that I was talking about in the previous video where we saw Sledgehammer was kind of what we would expect to be under rate for a 3 experience weapon. Melee weapons are getting brought down in Chapter 2 for people who do play current. It's going to be noticeable for them. For people who play Legacy, they're probably not going to bother, which honestly is more power to them if they don't want to frick with that. But for people who like the idea of playing the rotating formats or trying out Chapter 2, I think this is going to be a very fun, noticeable change to see how melee weapons are brought down for melee weapons. Firearms, we're going to talk about the M1911, however, are getting stronger, which I think is really cool. Keep in mind that Daniel can trigger any fight ability for her counterattack, so it's a good idea to equip multiple weapons and keep her options open. If you're having trouble landing hits on a particularly tough enemy, equip Endurance, which we already talked about, onto Daniela for some impressive boost to to her combat skills, so long as you have a resource to pay for them. Once you finally take the enemy down, Logan Hastings can help you recoup the resource cost for doing so, giving you access to even more options for delivering a beatdown to the monsters of the mythos. At this point, you have a good grasp of the Guardian cards in Daniela's pre-built deck. Longtime fans of Arkham may recall the original version of Daniela can also include Survivor cards in her deck. In fact, her deck building option emphasized the Survivor class a bit more than Guardian. While this new version of Daniela has a more traditional focus on Guardian cards, she can still splash Survivor cards in her deck for some extra versatility, which is fitting for a tough customer like her. If you're curious about what sort of Survivor cards you can find in Daniela's pre-built deck, be sure to check out our preview of Isabel Barnes and the Survivor class from a few weeks ago. And now we have our signature. But yeah, people talk about Machete. I think you only exhaust if you fail. If the attacked enemy is the... Oh no, you do have to exhaust at the start. So yeah, you could lose the damage if you do fail. Yep. That's a good call on that one. Alright, in Harm's Way. Put in Harm's Way into play in your threat area. Forced. After you deal damage to an enemy, take 1 damage and place 1 damage on In Harm's Way. If there's 3 or more damage on this card, discard it. When the game ends, suffer 1 physical trauma. This guy is actually saying, I'm in Arm's Way. Am I right, everybody? Am I right? Anyways, it seems like a pretty good weakness. It's just something to be aware of. The physical trauma is less scary than like Roland's signature weakness, but it's pretty nice. I think it's all right. It'll be something you'll have to just be aware of, but less scary to draw if you're don't know the similar weakness say when the game ends or you're defeated. Yeah, this one is just when the game ends, which I think might have been done on purpose because it kind of fits with you're going to take a trauma if you're defeated anyway. So maybe they're just trying to change that to be like, it's only if you win you get the trauma, because if you defeated, you already got the trauma. So why double punish you, you know? Or resigning gets rid of it. Yeah. On the topic of survival, we can't end our preview of Daniela Reyes without talking about her signature weakness. Daniela is known for being a tough and determined. Her fearless, go-getter attitude can often lead her to putting herself in harm's way. This treachery represents the recklessness Daniela displays when throwing herself headfirst into the fray, and it can cause her to rack up injuries fast. The only way to get rid of it is to persevere through the pain and keep fending off foes, a task made more bearable when Daniela relies on her allies and her fellow investigators to help mitigate the damage coming her way. With her ability to counter enemy attacks and her tough can-do attitude, Daniela Reyes is an excellent example of what the Guardian class has to offer in Chapter 2. Look forward to our previews of the Rogue class in the coming weeks. Yes! Oh, it is redundant. So, under elimination, you resolve your weaknesses as if it were the end of the game, then you're done. Okay. And resigning doesn't solve it either? Like, is it the same thing where it's just like, when you resign, it also triggers, like, end game, it checks that as well? Is it, like, the same for that too, Dice Gods? One thing I love is that they're doing these articles again. I've talked about this before, where when I was making the Path to Carcosa video, and there were like individual preview articles for like every investigator, and I was like, man, I wish they would do that again. And then they fucking did it again. Like, that's so hype. It's so nice to have this happening. I'm pretty excited. Why is there a mute button on this Arkham cards page? I'm gonna just close that. All right. All right, those are the cards. Let's talk about some of the other stuff here. Guess what, guys? Guts is back! We saw this coming, and this one has been changed to, if this test is successful, the Performant Investigator draws 1 card. I actually really like that on Guts more than I like it on Perception, and I assume Overpower and Manual Dexterity. I think Guts and Manual Dexterity are where it shines the most. I think that the art is really good, too. People were saying they really like the art on Guts, and this is my first time really looking at it, because I don't want to be that guy, but I don't really care about art too much on my player cards. I care about my art a lot more on my treacheries. And with player cards, like, unless it's a guy getting hit in the head with a fucking brick, it doesn't really move the needle for me. But yeah, it does look very Diana-coded, for sure. But I think that Guts is good, and Guts will continue to be good, and when we make our new player guides, get ready for us to keep dropping Guts is good until the heat death of the universe, apparently. Alright, next card here, we actually have more to talk about. This is the M1911. This is a 3-cost item weapon firearm asset that takes up a hand slot. It uses 4 ammo, and as an action, spend 1 ammo to fight with your fist. You get +1 fist and deal +1 damage for this attack. 45 automatic, is that you? 45 automatic got buffed, baby, which is good, because 45 automatic always felt a little bit bad at 4 resource cost. Not that the card was bad or unplayable by any means. I think 45 automatic does do a good job of being a gun in gun decks. But it always felt a little bit worse to play than melee weapons from the get-go. Like, even when the original core set came out, we got machete and 45 automatic, and everyone was just like, I'll take the machete. And now there's like there's a reason to make your choices between the two, right? One thing I really like about this just not being a 45 automatic, and this is something that I think that there should be some kind of focus and analysis from the community of why these decisions are made. And I think this is very similar to the Winchester Model 12, where the idea for this one was not that they wanted to, like, cut 45 automatic down like they did with machete. They wanted to instead, in Legacy, give these pistol decks another pistol to play with, right? Do you think they'll bring back Big Gun Guardians? I think so. I mean, the Winchester's here, and Nick is a noted shotgun lover, and especially with Tommy in the new Investigator deck, I think we're going to see some big gun payoffs coming, especially with Andre Patel being the rogue, and he is a little bit more like movie guy. So, you know, well, like skill committing guy is probably what he's going to end up being. I think that this is a great card. I think that this M1911 is fantastic, and I'm really liking the split between melee and ranged and like firearms, where firearms are now starting to feel like they have that's an interesting point, Dice Gods. I'll finish this point, then I'm going to talk about that, because I think that's very engaging of a thought. That there's like a dividing line between them. So Dice Gods is saying, I'm thinking there aren't going to be melee decks or firearm decks anymore. I don't think melee is good enough. You'll absolutely have to shoot guns. Melee is going to be your backup option. And I think that's really healthy. I think like there's probably going to be some exceptions where, like, for example, like Meat Cleaver 3 is very powerful, but Meat Cleaver 3 is going to take you a long time to get there. And like Daniela is going to be able to use the sledgehammer, but she's not going to be able, like, someone with 4 fists is going to have a much harder time just using this natively. But I think that that is a very interesting theory, like a hypothesis for the future, and I don't think you're wrong. I think there's a very high chance of that happening, especially in current and Chapter 2, which I think is very neat. All right, next card we got here is Vicious Blow. Practice skill, commits for a fist. If the skill test is successful during an attack, this attack deals +1 damage. That frickin' guy is getting hurt. You know, remember what I said about, like, someone getting hit in the head with a brick? Yeah, this works for me. Yeah, I think that this is... Oh, look at that. You can click on these, and I can just look at them. Oh, my God. Arkham build is so good. I think that, like, it's nice that Vicious Blow's here. I think once we saw Deduction, we kind of knew that Vicious Blow was going to be here as well, right? Like, I think that you can't... I think that for the game to be healthy, you can't have one without the other, right? Like, they're bonded. They are perfect cards that you're going to want to have in your pool, because I think they make a very healthy pool together. And if only one was there and the other wasn't, I think we'd have problems. And people might not agree with me, but I do think that that is actually, like, how it would work. So really nice to have Vicious Blow back, and I think it's especially relevant to even what Dice Gods is talking about with the melee weapons, where you kind of go, like, even with your machete, you kind of go a bit more all in, and you deal your 3 damage, but you're not being able to, like, kill 4 health enemies as reliably, which I think is a very nice change. All right, after Vicious Blow, we got Right Tool for the Job. This is a 1-cost Insight event. Search the top 9 cards of your deck for a tool or weapon asset and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. So this is Prepared for the Worst, but it can get tools now as well. It's good. Like, I think that this is really good for, like, a small collection when you need to find specific things. It being an Insight is very interesting for Legacy. And I think that there's some, like, interesting talking points to kind of come with that, right? Like, Joe Diamond Original, like from Circle Undone, can put this in his Hunch deck. Agatha, she can play Insights. And she can use it to find tools. Agatha can play Insights, right? People didn't lie to me when they said that. I gotta check now I should fact check before I start saying stuff. Yeah, she can play Insight events. Oh my god. But yeah, so she could play this to help find her Ocula Obscura. Kate can find a tool for her ability. Yeah, I think the trade on this actually does a lot of heavy lifting compared to Prepared for the Worst. And while my personal preference would be that it's less like a complete, like a side grade of Prepared for the Worst, I do think that the Insight actually mattered more than I initially gave it space for. So I think that that's kind of really neat. Because what was Prepared for the Worst? Was it a tactic? Let me just keep opening Arkham build windows. Yeah, it's a tactic. Which is obviously good for Stick to the Plan, which this one won't be able to work on it, but then there's also like a dividing line between the two in Legacy, which I think is interesting. And it is fun. For the people who say they're only going to play Legacy, again, more power to you, brother. I'm happy for you. But I find the idea to talk about multiple formats and analyze a card in multiple formats a lot more interesting to me. And I think that this card, well, obviously, I think in Legacy, Prepared for the Worst has already dropped in value. I think that Right Tool for the Job is also going to be pretty lower value just because it's kind of better to run more tools or more weapons. But if you're digging for one tool or weapon, it's still good to have ways to dig. It's good to have a level 0 to upgrade into Backpack. Like, I'd play this over Backpack 2. And if I have a limited collection, this is an effect that is really good. And the nice thing about it is, again, like I said, like Agatha can play this, and Mark can play Prepared for the Worst stuck to a Stick to the Plan in Legacy, and nothing really changes. All right, our last Guardian card for this video is Logan Hastings. This is a 4-cost ally, soaks for 2 and 1. You get +1 Fist, and as a reaction, after you defeat an enemy, exhaust Logan Hastings, gain 1 resource. Yeah, it's... so I was actually talking with Head Librarian Chad about this guy this morning. I think that this is a very good card. I just want everybody to remember that before I start saying the other stuff I'm going to say, okay? I think the card is very good. And I think this card is going to see a lot of play. And I think that in current, this card's going to be an all-star. Okay? That just so that everyone knows, I think the card is good. But I think in Legacy, this guy is going to be good, but not great. And I think the reason for that is that people see Christopher Milan, but Christopher Milan is easier to trigger. Like, Logan Hastings is Christopher Milan if Christopher Milan said, when you discover the last clue from a location. And, like, that's still good resource economy. But I think that it's not to the same extent. And there is, like, some Christopher Milan glasses on right now. And only that motherfucker can wear those glasses. I think that he's going to be a really good level 0 ally in Legacy. But I do think that the Legacy allies are very strong. And he'll be outclassed in the long term in your decks. But I think he's good! I got in trouble yesterday. I think he's a good card. And in current, this guy's going to be insane. In Chapter 2, he's going to be insane. And I think he's a very healthy ally for the Guardian pool. Because I think that he's going to live in a good space. And I think in the long term, you probably will, unless you desperately need that fist boost, are going to want to find the higher experience allies, assuming that Guardian stays the higher XP ally class, and which means like having really good higher XP allies. Looking at just this in the slice, he completely crushes Bodyguard, but it's a nice choice to have to get a learning experience or play the card that's really good in current. In Legacy level 0, I think I would want him instead of Beat Cop 0. Yeah, I think that's fair. I personally would take Beat Cop 0 still because I like the extra damage that it represents. But I think what he represents in Legacy that's very interesting is choice at level 0. I mean, realistically, actually, in Legacy, I take Guard Dog like pretty much 90% of the time. Because I think that Guardian allies are actually at their best when you're not committing to one and you're using like Tetsuo and Guard Dog to just be really good. But yeah, I think he's a very, very strong card, and I really like seeing him because I think his design is really nice. What do you think the ratio is of enemies with 1 to 2 HP versus 3? I think it's going to skew to 3. Skewing to 3 is going to be really good, but I also don't necessarily think we should evaluate this guy as action to resources. It's rather you are working towards winning the game and just getting money passively, just like the same way Dr. Milan Christopher does. And then the last card we have to talk about is easily the best card, Unexpected Courage. It's an innate skill, and it commits for 2 wilds. And we replaced boy fighting dog and girl fighting thing with girl standing up against the mythos, which I think is a good representation of courage that is unexpected. Because that's what the guy in the back there is thinking. He's like, what the hell? She has courage to stand up to me? That's unexpected. Anyways, I'm going to eat her head. You know, and just like takes her down. But those are our Guardian cards. I think the Guardian set, let's just look at just Guardian. Again, there's one card missing here. I think the Guardian set actually looks really nice. Wait, where's Overpower? They cut it. FFG emailed me and they said, Justin, you can tell people today, but Overpower ain't going to be in the set. No, there's going to be Overpower. It's going to come out eventually. There's no way we have Perception and Guts and we're not getting Overpower and Manual Dexterity. There's no way. It's like the vicious blow deduction thing. When there's one, there's another. Yes, and that's the thing as well. Like, as I said at the start of this video, there is one Guardian card missing, an upgraded Guardian card. People assume we're going to get it at a stream from FFG that's happening on Thursday, but I'm recording this before then because I have an appointment I gotta go to. I gotta record some more videos. So if that does happen, I will spoil that guy in the next. Well, I won't spoil him. I'll talk about the guy in the next roundup once Rogue Week starts, which, as we heard at the end of this, is going to be starting in the coming weeks. Which, if I remember correctly, when they spoiled this at the end of Survivor Week and they said Guardian Week was coming out, it started on the next Monday. So maybe the 22nd, if not the 29th. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see how the Rogue class shapes up, because it is no controversial opinion to say that the Rogue class in the original core was a little bit rough around the edges. And when I say a little bit, I mean quite rough around the edges. It did get a boon in the revised core, but it really hurt in the original core. So there's nowhere to go up from here, but I think the Survivor set looks really nice. It's got like more choices for weapons. It's got an equal choice for allies. I mean, assuming that if the last one is an upgraded ally, that would be really nice. But maybe it's like an upgraded weapon. Like, I could see them adding more weapons too. Maybe like another event, like maybe something ammo related could be there as well, you know? But I think Guardian looks really nice. And I mean, I think as a whole, the box looks really nice. And that's kind of the thing that I'm really excited about. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you dug this, and I hope you look forward to Rogue Week as we start seeing the cards for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and as always, GG's!